every poor man must build in big house.
He became Jamaica's newest prime minister despite controversy about his big house.
Join us in a partnership for prosperity.
We uncover a trail of property purchases and ask, is Andrew Holness paying his part?
Is that why he didn't pay the property taxes on the home?
And later, Holness sounds the warning on corruption to his new cabinet.
Corruption will not be tolerated in this country.
But does his own record raise questions when it comes to public contracts?
When each side is in government, there are uncomfortable levels of awarding of contracts to persons who are either political supporters, campaign financiers, or other connected parties.
We reveal how Holness signed off on taxpayer money for a contract payment to his associates on this episode of 18 Degrees North.
18 Degrees North is brought to you by...
Finally, a way to help control your diabetes. Introducing Caribbean Dreams Cinnamon Mint Diabetic Tea. Caribbean Dreams Cinnamon Mint Diabetic Tea is all natural and sweetened with stevia leaves, a plant sweetener that's safe for diabetics. Cinnamon increases the body's ability to regulate blood sugar. Peppermint is high in antioxidants and soothes the stomach. Take control of your diabetes with Caribbean Dreams Cinnamon Mint Diabetic Tea.
Hello, I'm Zara Burton and welcome to 18 Degrees North. It's from right here in Kingston, Jamaica, 18 degrees north of the equator, where every week we're going to take you on a global journey with us as we focus on Caribbean stories that have global impact. We begin our show with Jamaica's newest Prime Minister, Andrew Holness. During the 2016 general elections, his house became front and center. The public, and perhaps more so the ruling People's National Party, they wanted to know why a St. Lucian company owned his house and where he got the money, since news reports had put its value at about $2 million, a figure Holness has not confirmed. After all, Holness had been a politician most of his professional life, didn't come from money, and his salary at the time was just over $60,000 each year, not counting allowances. Holness answered several of the questions asked, but we at 18 Degrees North had others. What we found was an interesting series of property purchases and an uneven playing field when it comes to personal tax matters. It also shed light on the relationship between Jamaican politicians and their associates in the awarding of public contracts. We're staying right here in Jamaica at 18 degrees north and 77 degrees west.
The Labour Party believe that every poor man must build his castle. Every poor man must build him big house. And we not grudge you for it. We are going to help you to achieve that. That is why we say education for free, health for free, and we must make the place secure so you can live and enjoy yourself.
This is the house, built on 3/4 of an acre, complete with stone-cut wall, in the exclusive Beverly Hills neighborhood just outside Kingston. It's a huge upgrade from where Jamaica's newest Prime Minister and then opposition leader Andrew Holness says he was born.
I was born in a 2-bedroom boardhouse at 56 Cumberland Road in a Spanish town. My father is still a farmer and my mother is a retired civil servant.
Property records show the Beverly Hills land was purchased by a St. Lucian-based company, AdMat Incorporated, for $300,000 in 2011, 3 months before Holness became Prime Minister of Jamaica for the first time, and when he was Minister of Education. There's no mortgage listed. In a statement, Holness says he's the sole director of AdMat and a shareholder, along with his 2 sons, Adam and Matthew. Holness says he got the money from funds in his accounts at 2 of Jamaica's investment banks and used his savings, salary, loans, and credit from suppliers established through his wife, who is a real estate developer, to build the house. costing him approximately $52 million, or around 525,000 US. He says a St. Lucian structure was used for estate planning. His attorney, Patrick Bailey, says there's that, and the additional potential benefit of avoiding transfer taxes.
If the house at Beverly Hills is the only asset and he was selling it, he would simply sell the company, sell the shares. The company would have its shareholding transferred from him and his children to the new purchasers, whereas the title would remain unchanged because the new purchaser will be the owners of ADMAT and be the owners of the property. So in that case, there's no transfer from one entity to another. So you're saving on transfer tax and stamp duty and those sorts of things.
Civil society activist Carol Narcisse says the leader of the country shouldn't be trying to avoid taxes.
Especially if you're a prime minister and you're telling your citizens that they need to conform to the regulatory environment that you have designed, that you do not think you can adhere to, because it is inimical to your interest to adhere to it, or inimical to the interest of your children's future to adhere to it, then there is a major, there's a major inconsistency there that you need to explain.
Join us in a partnership for prosperity. Let's change Jamaica for the better. Choose prosperity.
Does he own other entities in there, in ADMAT?
In ADMAT?
Yeah.
I think he has at least one other property in ADMAT.
And where is that?
That is in somewhere in the Arcadia area, right?
And that's considered land or also?
That was an apartment. Actually, he's now in the process of selling that unit. He owes suppliers, because suppliers gave him credit for the house he's building in Beverly Hills.
And source of funds for that was what?
That one, I can't recall all of those details, but I seem to remember that he has always used the house that he lives in and get loans and that sort of thing.
We checked the title for the property where Bailey says both Holness and his wife lived at the time of our interview and found no additional loans or mortgages other than those originally taken out in 2002 when they bought the house for 7 million Jamaican dollars, around 144,000 US dollars back then.
So you were satisfied then with the source of the funds in both cases?
Oh, absolutely. He saved in US stocks and amongst his portfolio. So he was saving, because these are savings.
Is that savings from him alone or him and his wife?
I don't know that level of personal detail. that would be. I don't know that level.
Of what you know, is there any evidence?
I've known nothing else that he owns in relation to ADMAT. He currently owns it.
We checked the title for the Acadia property and found that it was indeed purchased by the same St. Lucian company, ADMAT Incorporated, in 2008, again when Holness was Minister of Education. The price tag, 16 million Jamaican dollars, around 219,000 US back then, and again, no mortgage was listed. Further, we also checked whether ADMAT owned additional properties and found one more. A half-acre lot, also bought in Beverly Hills on Wycliffe Close in February 2009, also when Holness was Minister of Education, price tag around 15 million Jamaican dollars, almost 173,000 US dollars, and again, no mortgage listed.
So you've never heard of this Wycliffe Close property before today?
Let me put it this way. I have never handled, and when I look at the transfer, I see the names of lawyers who I know. And he's entitled to have more than one lawyer. We all have to eat.
So all told, when it comes to properties, there's the Great House Boulevard home that Holness and his wife bought with a mortgage while Holness was a mere member of Parliament, and in the 4 years he was Minister of Education, earning the equivalent basic salary of about 60,000 US dollars per year. There was the Arcadia apartment, no mortgage listed. The land at Wycliffe Close in Beverly Hills, no mortgage listed. The land for the Shenstone Beverly Hills house he's building, no mortgage listed. And around 525,000 US dollars spent building the house in the 3 years after Holness's Jamaica Labour Party lost the election in 2011. Holness, through a member of his team, said he wouldn't comment on the source of funds for any of his properties before the election, but even after, he didn't. He also said he would make his financial statement public at the end of March 2016, but he didn't. Despite several calls to Juliet Holness, a property developer, chartered accountant, and newly elected member of parliament, she didn't get back to us.
We will again reduce transfer taxes, stamp duties, and estate taxes.
What about property taxes?
Nobody he has to pay property tax.
At the time of our initial checks in the 2 weeks before the election, the house in Beverly Hills had an outstanding balance since 2013 on the tax administration's website. Amount about $174,000 or US $1,400 approximately. Property taxes on the Wakefield Close land in Beverly Hills were listed as not having been paid since 2009, a total of about $175,000 or US around $1,400. And the Great House Boulevard home that he owned with his wife Juliet, that was listed as outstanding since 2014, owing Jamaicans $64,000 or about $526 US. We call the tax administration to confirm.
Volume is 1118.
Andrew Holness,
Yeah.
the amount is $64,000 outstanding at $50 for 2 years.
All in, Holness or his entities were listed at the time as owing almost 413,000 Jamaican dollars, around 3,400 US dollars. It wasn't clear if there were any amounts owing for the apartment at Arcadia Drive. Carol Narcisse says no leader should be behind on their taxes.
It goes to the heart of credibility, it goes to the heart of their own integrity, etc., etc. If you are not able to adhere, you have to know that that fundamentally undermines your credibility.
Days after 18 Degrees North brought it to Holness's attention, and before the election, the tax administration's website reflected zero balances for the 2 Beverly Hills properties at Shenstone Drive and Wakefield Close. However, taxes on the house he owns with his wife were still listed as owing as of our last check, March 18, 2016, even as he became Prime Minister of Jamaica for a second time.
That I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Jamaica.
Coming up on 18 Degrees North, too close for comfort? How Andrew Holness signed off on taxpayers' money for a contract payment to his associates. Next on 18 Degrees North. Degrees North just uncovered a trail of property purchases linked to Jamaica's newest Prime Minister, Andrew Holness. Now see how that trail led us down another path, that of government contracts awarded to his associates.
Corruption will not be tolerated in this government.
The property at Wakefield Close in Beverly Hills appears in open lot today. As it turns out, the owner, Andrew Holness's Adnat Incorporated, applied to build townhouses in 2010. Representing Adnat in this application was one Robert Garvin.
And Robert Garvin is not a director in any way, shape, or form of ADNAT.
No, but he's not.
But why would Robert Garvin's name then appear on an application to the land development?
Because he's acting as agent, he's doing the process. That's not unusual.
According to Companies Office records, Robert Garvin is or was the director of other entities affiliated with Andrew or Juliet Holness: Positive Jamaica Foundation Limited, Sunshine Mobile Company Limited, West Central St. Andrew Trust Limited, Omega Bridge Finance, and the Lido Taxes Service, now struck off by the company registrar.
Who is Robert Garvin?
Garvin?
Robert Garvin.
Never met the name, never heard the name. But I do remember Positive. But I did set up Positive Jamaica, I remember that.
Right, but he's
Yeah.
Positive Jamaica is in part a director by Garvin.
I know he was a director of
And by the way, one more thing. What about the fact that Garvin used this address, 28 Herb McKinley?
But this is my address, it's precisely what I'm saying. You're at 28 Herb McKinley.
I know, why Robert Garvin used it and
Because they set up the company here. Garvin, I'm not saying that. I don't remember the name.
Separately, Robert Garvin is also listed as the director of Westkin Construction, along with one Donovan Simpson. Garvin used the address 25 Dominica Drive while setting up Westcon, the same address he and Holness used when registering West Central St Andrew Trust Limited. Government records show Westcon Construction as receiving 14 government contracts, totaling 28.5 million Jamaican dollars, or around 386,000 US dollars. This was between 2006 and 2009, even as Holness or his wife shared directorships with Garvin on 4 entities. 12 of the 14 contracts were under the GLP government, with which Holness has a career-long affiliation. 9 of the 14 list 0 or only 1 tender. 10 of the 14 were granted by the Minister of Education when Andrew Holness was Minister, and by the National Works Agency and Social Development Commission for work in Holness's constituency. Holness even instructed the Social Development Commission to pay Westcon Construction just under 1.5 million Jamaican dollars, or around US $21,000 back then. He signed the document himself. There was only one bidder for cleaning, bushing and trimming of the roadways in Holness's constituency of West Central St Andrew. Payment was requested by Holness December 20th, 2007, and paid promptly on the same day. When contacted in a general sense, the current Social Development Commission head, Dwayne Vernon, said, while not the norm, it is possible for a request for payment to be made on the same day that the payment is made, especially when there's a contract in place with pre-stated payment dates. Vernon, who didn't address this contract specifically, also said, the SDC does not procure for constituencies. This is the prerogative of the MP and his or her project officer. Civil society activist Carol Narcisse says, awarding of government contracts in Jamaica has been a long-standing cause for concern.
When each side is in government, there are uncomfortable levels of awarding of contracts to persons who are either political supporters, campaign financiers, or other connected parties.
We asked Holness whether he declared his relationship with Garvin while contracts were being awarded to Westcon Construction, but he didn't get back to us. We called Garvin, but he said he couldn't talk at the time, and he didn't answer our text message. When contacted, Garvin's partner in Westcon Construction, Donovan Simpson, tried to distance himself from the inner workings of the company, saying he was only doing his friend Garvin a favor. So you didn't benefit from these contracts, that's what you're saying?
No.
Even though his name is not on the filing, is Andrew Holness a part of this company?
No, not to my knowledge. No, man, he's not a part of it.
Do you know if Garvin is a friend of Andrew Holness?
Yes, yeah, man, they are friends. They are very close. Before Andrew went in politics, I made it after that, because when I was there, were very close also.
Okay.
So the first time I saw Andrew is when they invited me to share that case in Washington.
We searched, but could find no record of Holness declaring this relationship with Robert Garvin or Donovan Simpson, and the Office of the Contractor General would only say we should request an investigation. At the time when most of Westcon's contracts were awarded, the Handbook of Public Sector Procurement Procedures stated, in circumstances of conflicting interests, example, parties involved in the procurement process and who have connections with participating tenderers, the Government of Jamaica party must so declare at the onset of the procurement process or whenever the party becomes aware of the conflict, whichever is sooner, and shall immediately disqualify himself or herself from participation in the particular procurement process. Whether Holness declared his relationship with Garvin remains unclear. However, Bailey, his attorney, is adamant that all assets associated with Andrew Holness were declared.
Every case, everything that he has owned from the time that he is, from even the time he set up Adman, going back to 2001, everything has been declared.
We checked with the Integrity Commission, but no one ever got back to us. Information submitted is usually confidential.
The law that governs it explicitly states that these declarations cannot be made public, and if they are made public, whoever makes them public is subject to a fine of over $1 million, right? These declarations of assets need to be brought under the ambit of the Access to Information Act so that we can request to see and be given, or given a good reason why we can't be given.
In Jamaica, breaches of the rules governing the awarding of government contracts carry a possible fine of $1,000 or around $8 US and or 3 months in prison. The apartment at Arcadia Drive, owned by Holness's Admat Incorporated, was eventually sold April 15, 2016. Price tag, $16.5 million Jamaican dollars, or about $135,000 US. Stamp duty and transfer taxes were paid. See what happens when we try to get answers from Andrew Holness on the campaign trail. Can we give me a sense of who Robert Garvin is? That's next on 18 Degrees North. May have wrested control from the People's National Party, in part because of his 10-point tax plan. During the election campaign, though, there were skeptics. Critics charged, how was he going to plug the millions in lost revenues in US dollar terms when his plan would essentially eliminate income tax on those earning the equivalent of around $12,000 US or less? Holness's plan was to spur spending and generate more revenue from consumption tax while raising taxes on high-end earners. We caught up with Holness on the campaign trail. We asked him what else he had up his sleeve and why at the time was he listed as being behind on his property taxes. Where is the economy going? Have you done any analysis of your tax plan and what economic growth is going to look like in your first
we've done
year?
I wouldn't want to give you a specific figure.
But your analysis must have produced something that is tangible for the people to understand.
Yeah, but I didn't say I would give you that figure.
But it has produced a figure.
Of course.
Okay.
Otherwise, why would you do the analysis?
Give me a general sense of where we have on the low end and the top end.
I would say to you that if you're going to talk about economic growth, you should be above 3%.
Okay, that's a fair statement to make.
Right.
Let's talk about some of the other taxes that you, tax incentives and lower rates. And
so
I think there was mention of some transfer taxes as
so
well.
In general, we want to, our tax plan is to reduce transaction taxes. A part of economic growth is to get the velocity of transactions increasing, and particularly in construction and real estate, because those are major employment areas. So we will bring to the levels which we had done before our transfer tax and stamp duties, and estate taxes as well.
You seem to don't like taxes too much because
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a small government, free enterprise person. I believe that markets work best and taxes are distortionate.
Okay. Is that why you didn't pay the property taxes on the home?
Well, my property taxes are paid.
On the THS website, when we did the valuation numbers for your properties, the outstanding taxes are there?
No, my taxes are paid.
When we looked, there was your Great House Boulevard property. There was your property that's owned by Admat, which you say you're a sole director of. And then there's another property that we actually found under Admat as well, up at Wycliffe Close. All three were outstanding. And then we saw that at Wycliffe Close, taxes seem to have been outstanding since 2009. What about the other property, though, at Wycliffe Close?
That I would have to check on. I mean, that's been there for a little while, so I'll have to check on. But I don't want to distract from the message.
No, but you are the person that's saying that you don't necessarily love taxes, yeah?
Yeah.
And so you are the lead. You are a leader of this country, potentially the premier leader of this country come next week. And so I'm asking you the question, as the leader of a country, do you believe that your taxes should have been more up to date than the record reflects?
What I'm saying to you, from my best recollection, I paid my taxes. Now, if it is that they are outstanding, it's not an issue to pay them.
Okay.
I'm not hiding the taxes.
But ADMAT is designed for you to avoid potential estate taxes or transfer taxes.
No, it's designed for estate planning purposes.
For estate planning purposes, that means basically that you avoid some sort of taxes. And I'm saying, does it look good for a leader of a country?
I'm not clear that when we set it up, it was never to avoid any kind of taxes. And it's not likely that I would be able to sell everything. It was set up merely as a way of holding assets. It's a holding company. That's it. But in any event, let's be clear. Any citizen of any country is permitted. It's not illegal to establish, and many persons have.
No doubt. I'm not talking about the legality. I'm more talking about, does it look good for a leader to be trying to set up their situation so that they avoid paying tax?
No. Any company can, I think, avoid being in a situation. Look, but my view on the matter is this: you should plan your estate and plan for taxes the best way possible.
You just said a while ago that you don't see a sense where you would be able to sell everything. What's everything? What's everything?
You mentioned 2 properties.
Right. Yours Wakefield Close, right, which is an open land right now.
Look, we'll talk again.
No, one thing I wanted to ask you
you've gone
hold on, Mr. Holness. Mr. Holness, I must ask you a question. Can you give me a sense of who Robert Garvin is?
He's the company secretary, but what's his
What's your relationship with him? So this is where we bring 18 Degrees North to a close for this week. Join us online, look us up on Twitter or on Facebook, send us your comments. We're there to bring you Caribbean stories that have global impact. From all of us here at 18 Degrees North, I'm Zara Burton. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.